Have you ever felt the quiet sting of being overlooked, like the air changes when you enter a room and suddenly your presence carries no weight? It's subtle, almost invisible, yet you can feel respect slipping away. Often, it's not the world against us, it's our own unnoticed habits that weaken our presence. Let's uncover them, one by one, with calm honesty. As we step into the first chapter, picture this: a quiet room filled with laughter that doesn't reach you. Words swirl like smoke, soft, invisible, but carrying something sharp underneath. That's gossip. It hides behind the mask of connection, disguised as small talk, as if tearing others down could somehow lift us higher. We think it's harmless. We think it's human. Yet, gossip is a quiet assassin of respect. The moment we speak of someone who isn't present, we carve away a piece of our own integrity. People may laugh at your words, nod politely, even join in, but deep inside, a question flickers. If they talk this way about others, what will they say about me? Now imagine that thought living in someone's mind every time your name is mentioned. That's the silent cost of gossip. It builds walls where trust could have stood. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Gossip is the opposite of that. It's the easy road, the path of least resistance, and as Seneca warned, it is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. The rough road is self-discipline. The easy one is indulgence. The moment we give in to gossip, we trade truth for relevance, depth for noise. Think of the times you've sat in a circle, the conversation drifting towards someone else's flaws. It feels good at first, a small spark of superiority, a false bond made from shared judgment. But once the flame dies, what remains? A room a little colder, eyes a little more cautious. You'll notice it. People will stop confiding in you. They'll hesitate before opening up, and you won't know why. They don't mistrust you because they dislike you. They mistrust you because they fear their stories will become your next anecdote. That's how gossip corrodes relationships, not with a single act, but with a slow, steady erosion of faith. In the ancient world, words carried the same weight as oaths. The Stoics believed that speech was a reflection of one's inner order. Epictetus reminded us, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. There is power in restraint. There is dignity in silence. And there is immense strength in refusing to let your tongue become the weapon of your insecurity. Every time you resist the urge to speak ill of someone, you are building your own fortress of integrity. Picture this. A man sits among colleagues as the conversation turns to a mutual acquaintance who isn't there. The stories grow sharper, the tone more amused. When it's his turn to speak, he simply says, "I'd rather not talk about them when they're not here to speak for themselves." The table goes silent. A few shift uncomfortably, others smile faintly. No argument, no defense, just quiet clarity. From that moment, something changes. The same people who once expected his participation now trust him more deeply. His words begin to carry weight because they're never used carelessly. That's how respect is built, not through charisma, not through performance, but through integrity that asks for nothing in return. Seneca once said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." The man who refuses to gossip does both. He inspires without preaching and protects without boasting. He knows that true connection is not built on shared contempt, but on mutual trust. Gossip, on the other hand, is the counterfeit version of intimacy. It gives the illusion of closeness while quietly poisoning the bond beneath. So ask yourself, what kind of presence do you want to bring into a room? The one that makes people lean closer with ease, or the one that makes them measure every word before they speak to you? Respect is not something you demand. It's something you invite by the way you carry yourself. Every careless word about another person is a withdrawal from your own credibility. Every moment of restraint is a deposit into your inner strength. And when you catch yourself tempted to indulge, pause. Ask, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my character? Most times the answer will be no. The man who speaks less of others grows more within himself. The one who avoids gossip doesn't just protect reputations, he protects his own mind from the chaos of comparison and judgment. From here, understand this. The world will always reward noise, but it remembers the quiet ones who hold their ground. Those who speak with purpose, not impulse. Those whose silence commands more respect than the loudest critic's voice. You don't have to prove yourself through conversation. Let your restraint do the talking. So who will you be? The one who fuels the fire, or the one who refuses to feed it? The one others admire for honesty and dignity, or the one they keep at arm's length, afraid their stories will become your next entertainment? The choice seems small, but it defines everything. Because the person who chooses integrity over gossip is not just respected by others, he is finally respected by himself. And that, in the end, is the foundation of every kind of strength that lasts. Moving into the second chapter, imagine a quiet room filled with tension so thick you could almost touch it. Someone says, "I'm fine," but their eyes say otherwise. Their silence screams louder than any argument. This is the invisible storm of passive aggression, a conflict that hides behind calm faces and polite words, a poison that eats away at trust without ever raising its voice. It looks gentle on the surface, but it's one of the fastest ways to lose respect, because pretending to be calm when you're burning inside is not strength. It's fear disguised as control. Now picture this. Two people sitting across from each other at the end of a long day. One speaks with honesty, the other answers with sarcasm. The words may seem harmless, even playful, but underneath lies a quiet resentment, an emotional fog where understanding gets lost. That's the danger of indirect hostility. It confuses, frustrates, and distances the very people we wish to feel closer to. We think silence keeps the peace, but in truth, it builds walls. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control others, only our own responses. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But when we react with hidden anger, when we punish with silence instead of clarity, we harm ourselves first. I've seen this happen countless times, between friends, lovers, even colleagues. One person withdraws, hoping the other will somehow decode their mood. The other grows anxious, guessing, apologizing, never sure what they did wrong. Over time, the space between them widens until they no longer recognize each other. It starts with nothing's wrong and ends with everything broken. Respect can't survive in that silence. No one can trust what they can't see, and no one will feel safe around someone who speaks in riddles instead of truth. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. In this context, it means stop hiding behind emotional games. If something hurts you, say it. If something matters, express it. Communication is not confrontation, it's courage. The Stoics valued calm dialogue because truth, spoken without anger, purifies the soul. It builds bridges where bitterness would otherwise grow. Passive aggression, however, does the opposite. It lets anger ferment quietly until it explodes or decays into indifference. Both outcomes destroy what could have been saved with a single, honest conversation. Let me tell you a story. There was a man, let's call him Julian, who loved his partner deeply but felt unseen. Instead of sharing his frustration, he gave her the cold shoulder, sighed heavily at dinner, and dropped subtle remarks he hoped she'd understand. But she never did. The more he withheld, the more distant she became. What started as love turned into quiet resentment. One night, she simply stopped trying. She'd grown tired of guessing. When Julian finally spoke, it was too late. The distance had already become a habit. That's the hidden tragedy of passive aggression. It kills connection not with cruelty, but with neglect. Ask yourself, how many times have you expected someone to just know what you feel? How many relationships have faded not because of betrayal, but because of unspoken words? The harsh truth is this: no one can read your mind. Expecting them to is unfair. It's like asking someone to walk through fog and blame them when they get lost. The Stoics would call this irrational. Seneca taught that truth is simple, deception is complex. Speak your truth simply. It's cleaner, kinder, and far more powerful. Passive aggression thrives on fear. Fear of confrontation, fear of rejection, fear of being vulnerable. But avoiding directness doesn't erase fear. It feeds it. It magnifies what could have been resolved. The Stoics didn't see vulnerability as weakness. They saw it as self-command, the ability to face discomfort without letting it own you. The moment you choose honesty over avoidance, something shifts inside. You reclaim your power. You prove to yourself that you can handle the truth, whatever it brings. In the workplace, this principle is just as vital. Imagine a colleague failing to meet deadlines. You drop hints, send polite but pointed messages, hoping they'll get it. They don't. Frustration builds. But a true Stoic leader doesn't rely on hints. They address the issue directly, calmly, respectfully. No drama, just truth. Because the one who speaks with clarity earns trust. The one who manipulates with silence earns suspicion. Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. If you believe silence protects you, you'll never grow beyond it. You'll keep justifying avoidance as peace when it's really decay." The mature mind seeks clarity, not comfort. It understands that calm truth is not confrontation, it's alignment between thought and action. So the next time you feel the urge to make a sarcastic remark, send a passive message, or withdraw into silence, pause. Ask yourself, what am I truly trying to say? What am I afraid of? Almost always, what you need is not avoidance, but expression. Honesty spoken with composure has more power than 1,000 quiet resentments. The man who learns to speak clearly, without anger, without games, commands respect without asking for it. His calm becomes his authority. His words, rare and deliberate, become trusted, because people can feel when truth lives behind your tone. And that's the essence of this lesson. Respect is born from honesty. Not from charm, not from control, but from the courage to speak with clarity even when your voice trembles. The next time silence tempts you to hide, remember, truth, when spoken calmly, is the highest form of strength. And that strength will carry you into the next chapter of mastery. Advancing to the third chapter, picture a man standing in front of a shattered mirror. The reflection looking back isn't broken by fate or luck or other people. It's cracked by his own denial. He points at the glass, blaming everything outside himself, but never the hand that held the stone. That's what it looks like when someone refuses to take responsibility. It's subtle at first, a small excuse here, a justification there, but over time it hollows out your strength, strips away your dignity, and leaves you powerless in your own life. Few things destroy respect faster than the inability to own your actions. We've all met the type. They blame the weather for their lateness, their co-workers for their failures, or life itself for their unhappiness. And maybe, if we're honest, we've been that person too. It's easier to say it's not my fault than to face the weight of our own choices. But here's the truth. The moment you shift blame, you surrender your power. You hand the steering wheel of your life to chance. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That reaction, the willingness to stand up and say this one's on me, is the dividing line between weakness and mastery. Now imagine a battlefield, not one with swords or shields, but an inner one, a conflict between your pride and your growth. Pride whispers, "It wasn't your fault." Growth says, "It was. Now fix it." Every time you choose pride, you lose a little ground. You protect your ego, but you abandon your evolution, and the world can feel that. People respect those who face the consequences of their actions without flinching, because responsibility is strength made visible. There's a story I once heard about an athlete, a man who failed thousands of times, who missed more shots than he made, but never once blamed the court, the team, or the world. He said, "I failed over and over, and that's why I succeed." That's the Stoic spirit, the refusal to let failure define you or shame paralyze you. Every setback was a teacher, not a verdict. And that's the essence of true growth, to fall, to admit, to rise again, sharper than before. Seneca wrote, "It's not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it's because we do not dare that things are difficult." Avoiding responsibility feels like protection, but in truth, it's a prison. You lock yourself behind excuses, thinking they'll keep you safe, but they only keep you small. Blame might offer relief for a moment, but it steals something irreplaceable, your control. When you own your part in failure, you reclaim it. You start to see life not as something that happens to you, but something you are shaping, moment by moment. Think of someone in your life who takes ownership when things go wrong. They don't make excuses. They don't hide. They say, "That was on me." You trust them more, don't you? You respect them because they carry themselves with quiet strength. Their honesty makes them dependable. And here's the paradox. Taking responsibility doesn't make you weaker. It makes you free. It frees you from the illusion that circumstances or other people control your destiny. A Stoic knows this truth well. Fate may strike, but your response is always your own. In today's world, accountability has become rare. People move fast, talk louder, point fingers quicker. But the ones who stand out, the ones who rise, are those who face the mirror without fear. They don't waste energy blaming, they use it to rebuild. Their strength is calm, grounded, and unmistakable. When something breaks, they ask, "What can I learn from this?" Because every mistake contains a seed of mastery if you have the courage to plant it. There's dignity in saying, "I was wrong." It doesn't diminish you, it expands you. It shows that your worth isn't fragile, that your ego doesn't rule your reason. The Stoics believed that the wise man learns equally from triumph and failure, because both belong to him. He owns his path, his errors, his growth. And through that ownership, he becomes unshakable. So the next time you catch yourself about to make an excuse, stop, breathe. Ask yourself, what can I do differently? What can I control right now? That single moment of honesty might be small, but it changes everything. It turns reaction into reflection, avoidance into action. Responsibility is not punishment, it's permission. Permission to learn, to lead, to grow. And when you begin to live this way, people notice. They start to trust your words, your presence, your judgment. They see you as someone grounded, reliable, whole. But more importantly, you start to respect yourself. Because respect from others is fleeting, but respect from within, once earned, never leaves. From here, remember this: the man who blames the world stays small. The man who owns his life becomes vast. Every excuse you let go of is a chain you break. And in that quiet act of ownership, you find what the Stoics called true freedom. Not freedom from fate, but freedom from yourself. Entering the 4th chapter, picture a man stepping out into the world wearing yesterday's clothes, unshaven, distracted, carrying himself as though life has already defeated him. He doesn't realize it, but before he's even spoken a word, he's already sent a message. I've stopped caring. And nothing makes people lose respect faster than that. We often think respect is earned through great deeds or loud accomplishments, but more often it begins in the quiet details, the way you care for yourself when no one is watching. Stoicism teaches that the outer world reflects the inner world. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. The way you present yourself is not vanity, it's philosophy made visible. Now imagine two men walking into the same room. One carries himself with quiet order, his clothes clean, his face calm, his presence grounded. The other arrives rumpled, distracted, half-prepared. No one says a word, but something happens instantly. The room gravitates toward one and recoils from the other. Why? Because how you appear speaks before you do. Before you open your mouth, people read your discipline. It's not about beauty or wealth. It's about intention. The Stoics believe that discipline in small things reveals discipline in all things. If you can't master the basics, your body, your space, your presence, how can anyone trust you to master anything greater? We live in an age where self-respect is often confused with self-expression, as if letting everything go is a symbol of authenticity. But neglect is not freedom. It's decay disguised as comfort. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trial." To polish your life, you must first polish yourself. And that begins with small acts: showering when you don't feel like it, trimming your nails, straightening your clothes, taking 5 quiet minutes to prepare for the day instead of rushing into it like a storm. These are not superficial tasks. They are rituals of order, anchors against chaos. I once knew a man who was brilliant but constantly overlooked. He couldn't understand why. "People never take me seriously," he said. I watched him rush into meetings late, shirt wrinkled, hair unkempt, phone buzzing in his hand. His ideas were sharp, but his presence was noise. No one could hear his wisdom through the distraction of his disorder. Eventually, I told him something that changed the way he saw himself. You're not being ignored for your mind. You're being ignored because you're teaching people not to listen. The next month, he changed nothing about his ideas, only the way he carried them. He began to show up with quiet precision, and suddenly, people listened. Respect followed, because respect always recognizes order. Hygiene and care are not about impressing others. They are about keeping your inner and outer worlds aligned. When you neglect yourself, your body whispers to your mind, "You don't matter," and your mind starts to believe it. You wake up later, you move slower, You speak softer, and little by little you shrink. But when you take care of yourself, you remind your soul that you still command the day. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. You cannot control what others think, but you can control how you show up in front of them. That choice alone is a declaration of dignity. Let's be honest, basic hygiene is not complicated, but it's symbolic. A clean body signals a clear mind. A cared-for appearance says, "I respect myself, therefore I respect you." The person who smells of neglect teaches others to keep their distance, not out of cruelty, but out of discomfort. And soon, that distance becomes real. Invitations fade, opportunities vanish, not because people are shallow, but because energy is contagious. If you carry disorder, you spread it. There's something deeply stoic about tending to your appearance with quiet consistency. It's not about perfection, it's about alignment. The Stoics believed virtue is a daily practice, not a single moment of greatness. In the same way, caring for yourself daily is an act of virtue. Each time you choose cleanliness over laziness, order over chaos, you remind yourself of your agency. You remind the world that you are still awake. So tomorrow morning, before you leave the house, pause. Look in the mirror, not to admire, but to affirm. The person staring back is your responsibility. Your reflection is your philosophy written in flesh. Don't let it speak of indifference, let it speak of intention. The way you walk, dress, and care for yourself is not small. It's your first dialogue with the world. When you take care of yourself, you send a message deeper than words. You say, "I am someone worth respecting," and the world, seeing that truth embodied, begins to mirror it back. Because the one who commands respect outwardly has first learned to respect himself inwardly. And that, as every Stoic knew, is the truest form of discipline. Moving into the 5th chapter, imagine sitting beside someone whose every sentence begins with a complaint. The coffee's too cold, the boss is unfair, the world just won't cooperate. At first you might nod, maybe even sympathize, but slowly something inside you starts to tighten. The air grows heavier, the space smaller. Their words become a fog of negativity that clings to everything it touches. Nothing drains respect faster than a constant complainer, because each complaint, no matter how small, whispers the same message. I am powerless. We all complain at times. It's human, but when complaining becomes a habit, it corrodes the mind like rust. It weakens your spirit and tells others that you have surrendered control of your own life. People may listen for a while, but eventually they step back. Why? Because negativity is contagious. It seeps into the listener, reshaping their own perspective, darkening their day. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And complaining is the reaction of someone who has forgotten their power to act. Now picture this. A man who spends years talking about how much he hates his job. He despises his boss, criticizes his co-workers, curses his salary. His friends listen at first, then offer advice, but he never changes anything. He doesn't look for another job. He doesn't improve his skills. He doesn't even try to see his situation differently. Eventually, his friends stop answering his calls. He sits alone, wondering why life feels so unfair, never realizing that it was his own voice, his own words, that drove everyone away. The tragedy is not his job, it's his mindset. He has become addicted to misery. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Complaining reverses that truth. It places all your power outside yourself, into the hands of circumstance. Every time you complain, you reinforce the illusion that life happens to you instead of through you. The Stoics would call this slavery, a mind bound by its own false beliefs. Freedom, they said, is not the absence of hardship, but the presence of self-command. It's easy to justify complaining. You might say, I'm just venting, or I'm being real. But the Stoics didn't measure truth by emotion, they measured it by clarity. To be real doesn't mean to drown in what's wrong, it means to see what's wrong clearly enough to change it. A calm mind looks at difficulty and asks, what can I do? A bitter mind only asks, why me? And the difference between those two questions defines the quality of your life. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The complainer suffers twice, once from the problem and again from the endless retelling of it. But here's the truth. No one admires the person who always points to the storm. They admire the one who walks through it without breaking their stride. There's a story of a woman who lost everything, her job, her partner, her sense of stability. For months she complained. To her friends, to her family, to herself. And the more she complained, the heavier life became. One day, she sat in silence and realized something simple but powerful. Her complaints changed nothing. They only made her suffering louder. So she stopped talking and started acting. She found work, built discipline, and rebuilt her life piece by piece. The situation didn't change overnight, but her strength did. And that change drew respect back to her life, like iron to a magnet. When you stop complaining, you don't become indifferent, you become focused. You stop wasting words on what you can't control and start using your energy where it matters. That shift alone transforms not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. Because every complaint is a small surrender, but every act of calm resilience is a victory. The next time you catch yourself about to complain, pause. Ask, can I change this? If yes, act. If not, accept. The Stoics called this the art of control, the separation between what is within your power and what is not. The one who masters this never wastes time on bitterness. He becomes grounded, unshakable, free. So stop bringing storms into every room you enter. Be the calm after the rain, the person whose presence steadies others instead of draining them. People will start to notice. They'll listen when you speak. They'll look to you not for sympathy, but for guidance. Because those who face life with quiet strength command respect without asking for it. And from here, remember this truth. Complaining changes nothing. Discipline changes everything. The one who stops lamenting and starts acting will always rise above the noise. And in a world full of voices that only echo problems, the one who brings solutions will always stand in the light. At this stage, imagine the quiet disrespect that hides behind a clock's ticking hand. You arrive late again and tell yourself it's no big deal. But the truth is written in the small glances, the polite smiles, the way conversations have already started without you. It might seem like a small habit, but chronic lateness speaks volumes. Every minute you're late says something you'd never dare to speak aloud. My time matters more than yours. You may not mean it that way, but perception is reality. And over time, people stop trusting you to show up, not just in time, but in life. As Seneca reminded us, time itself is not short. What's short is our discipline in how we use it. Being late is one of the most subtle forms of waste, not just of your hours, but of your character. It's a slow erosion of respect, one delay at a time. The Stoics saw time as the most sacred possession, more valuable than gold, because once lost, it can never be reclaimed. When you keep others waiting, you're not just stealing their minutes, you're showing them how lightly you treat your own, and that truth lingers long after the apology. Now imagine how it feels when someone always arrives early, not rushed, not anxious, just composed. They walk in ready, prepared, calm. Without saying a word, they earn your respect. Their punctuality tells you everything about them, their discipline, their integrity, their care for others. That's what being on time truly means. It's not about the clock, it's about commitment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Showing up on time is one of the simplest, most visible ways to be one. But lateness doesn't just inconvenience others, it poisons your own rhythm. You rush, you panic, you make mistakes. You live in a constant state of catch-up, and that chaos follows you everywhere, into your meetings, your relationships, your sleep. The Stoics believed peace begins in order. If your schedule is chaos, your mind will be too. So the question is simple. Why suffer the anxiety of being behind when you can choose the calm of being prepared? There's a story of a CEO known for his discipline. In decades of leadership, he was never late, not once. One day, during a major meeting, a few executives arrived behind schedule. He looked at them, stood up, and said, "Time is the one thing you can't earn back. If you can't respect that, you can't lead here." Then he left the room. No anger, no lecture, just truth. The next day, everyone was early, because punctuality, once demanded by example, transforms a culture. Epictetus taught, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." If you see yourself as someone worthy of respect, you must act in ways that command it. And few acts command respect as effortlessly as being dependable. Being early says you value time. Being consistent says you value trust. So ask yourself, how often do you let time slip through your fingers? How often do you let "I'm running late" become part of your identity? Every time you do, you trade reliability for comfort and respect for excuses. But you can reclaim both by shifting one thing, not your alarm clock, but your mindset. From here, remember this: time is the truest mirror of your discipline. The Stoics didn't measure greatness by how much you achieved, but by how intentionally you lived. When you master your time, you no longer chase the world, you move with it. Because those who master time master themselves. Before we close, take a moment to turn these lessons into action. Whether it's choosing honesty over gossip, accountability over excuses, or showing up on time with intention, every small act reshapes who you are becoming. Respect isn't demanded, it's cultivated through quiet consistency. Ask yourself which habit you will master first, then share your answer below with the words "steady growth." If this message resonated with you, subscribe to stay connected to this path of self-mastery. Remember, true strength is built one disciplined choice at a time. Every moment of awareness moves you closer to the person you were meant to be. Stay focused, stay grounded, and in the next video, we'll keep refining the mindset that commands respect and peace from within.